This week, we honor a player from Copenhagen who's been a pillar of strength on the defensive side of the ball. Her abilities on the soccer pitch earning her the Watertown Savings Bank 7 News North Country Athlete of the Week award. Darby Fitzpatrick of Copenhagen receives this week's honor. The super sophomore has performed at a high level, especially during the postseason. Playing a position at midfield, she's been shutting down the opposition's best scorers. On offense, the attack begins with Darby pushing the ball up. She made her mark in the Section 3 Class D championship game by scoring the clinching goal in a shootout win over Hamilton. A great young talent.
I don't put a lot of thought into it because once I start thinking, I overthink, and then I just get nervous. So I just show up at practice all the time. I put a lot of work in. Yeah, so we usually have our whole soccer team sign up for summer soccer, and we usually do that during the summer. Sometimes, this year I'm doing like an indoor league with a couple other people. Yeah, we put in a lot out of season. I like doing it a lot, yeah. It's like kind of fun anticipating the passes, getting back on defense, but also being able to go up on offense when you have a breakaway. I like it a lot. It's kind of like versatile, I guess. That's not really important to me. It's not really my thing. Like getting a goal here and there makes it's a good feeling, but I'm not very good on offense, so I like staying kind of midfield-ish.
So I feel like Darby is the player on the team that she's a key player. She goes unnoticed quite a bit because she is a center back that plays a lot of defense, but she does not keep herself in one position. She moves with the ball. She is our first attacker on the ball. Throughout the season, she shut down some of our biggest teams, leading scorers. She not only is able to defend and see the pockets on the field that we need to get the ball to, she's very quick to change the dynamic of the field. So she is our playmaker that seems to start a lot of what we do. And postseason, we didn't allow a goal in until our last game, and it came from a direct kick. And that goes a lot to our defense and to Darby. Darby is the one that has man-marked all of our possible threats on an attack. She holds her ground, and our team really looks to her to kind of not only defend, but to start our attack.
Congratulations to Darby Fitzpatrick of Copenhagen, the Watertown Savings Bank 7 News North Country Athlete of the Week.